members of the jury, please be seated. Would state call its next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Roberto Menendez.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth. Proceed.
Morning, Mr. Menendez.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
It's real important that the court reporter can hear you as well as the jury. So you can speak into the mic. And if I ask you a question that you don't understand, let me know and I'll do the best I can to rephrase.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Introduce yourself to the jury, please.
Hi, my name is Roberto Menendez.
And for the benefit of the court reporter, would you spell your first and last name?
Robertomendez.
And how are you employed, Mr. Menendez? How are you employed?
Our employer.
What do you do for a living?
Okay, I work in Houston at an auto parts.
Auto parts?
Auto parts, yes.
And how long have you been in Houston?
Since, let me see, April, May.
April, May of this past year?
No, this year.
Of this year?
Yes.
And prior to that, did you reside here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yes.
And how were you employed when you lived here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
I was at the dealership, and then I moved back. I moved to an auto part place by 175 and Bedline.
Let me ask you if at some point back in 2015, you recall meeting a woman by the name of Brenda Delgado.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how you met Ms. Delgado?
It was 2015, on February or March. She showed up at our dealership trying to buy a car. To her friend was the lady name was, let me see, Jennifer. She was trying to buy a car for Jennifer, and actually she paid Brenda paid the down payment. I think she paid like $2,000 or $3,000. It was a Nissan Altima, and that was the first time I met Brenda and Jennifer.
And then at some point after that, you end up selling a car to
Brenda, I think a month later.
Okay. And what type of vehicle did you sell?
It was a Lexus, a white Lexus.
Now, the two of y'all got to know each other, would that be fair?
Yes.
And did the two of you socialize on occasion?
Yeah, probably once or twice a week. But that happened in the middle of, or by the end of April.
By the end of April, y'all were socializing?
Yes.
Every other week?
Every other week, yeah.
And did that entail just dinner and drinks, or was it?
Yes, dinner and drinks.
Did the relationship ever get past just having dinner and drinks?
No.
Now, during this time that you are having the occasions that you're having dinner and drinks, is there a female that Brenda is constantly talking about?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that woman's name?
Kendra Hatcher.
And did you, at some point, go out with Brenda and y'all went somewhere?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that occasion.
I think it was in June. It was evening on Wednesday. We went to a restaurant uptown. We were drinking, and around 9:30 or 10, she told me.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't understand you. While we what?
We went to a restaurant on uptown on a Wednesday night, and we were drinking, and around 9:30 or 10, she told me, hey, I want to visit a friend. Okay, let's go. And we went to the apartment building of where Kendra lives, the parking lot.
And just so we're clear for the benefit of the court reporter, are you telling us that on a Wednesday night, y'all went out drinking at a place in Uptown?
Yes,
And at some point that night, she asked to drive to visit a friend.
yes,
The building that she asked to drive to, did you come to later recognize that as the building that Kendra Hatcher lived in?
yes, on the news, when I saw it on the news.
When you saw it on the news?
Yes,
After this had happened?
after that happened.
Do you recall the last time you had any conversations with Brenda Delgado?
Oh, the last conversation took place on Uptown at the parking lot of Gloria's on September 2nd, around 9:30, 10.
Do you recall whether or not you ever confronted Brenda Delgado about this obsession with Kendra Hatcher?
Yes, it was in the middle of, I think, July or August, when she was talking about her every time, and I was tired. And I sent a text message to her and say, hey, what's wrong with her? Or what's wrong with you? And she got mad and she stopped talking to me for around a week. But then she didn't say nothing else.
She never responded.
No.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Menendez, you said that that Brenda Delgado and Jennifer Calderon came to your dealership in February or March
Yes,
and bought a car together?
yes.
Did you know that Jennifer Calderon hadn't had any contact with Brenda for a year or two before August of 2015?
No, sir. Before?
Yes, sir.
No.
But you're sure it was her?
Yes. That's the first time I met Brenda and Jennifer, 2015, February.
Did you ever see Brenda Delgado and a woman identified as Kristopher Cortes?
Yes, one time, September 2nd, that night, she was with Crystal.
Tell me about that. Where were you at?
I was dining at that restaurant on September the 2nd. Around, I get to Gloria's around 8:30. I was waiting on Brenda, and she never showed up, so I stayed there. And then she texted me around 9:30. Hey, where you at? I said, Gloria's. On my way. So that night we met, and she was with Crystal.
So Brenda Delgado was with Crystal at 9 o'clock on the night of September the 2nd?
Yes.
And you're sure of that?
Yes.
That's all I have, sir.
Anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down and you're free to leave the court.
Thank you.
They will call Jose Cortes, Jose Luis Cortes. Ortiz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ortiz. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself to the jury?
I am Jose Luis Ortiz, and I am a mechanic by profession.
And would you, for the benefit of the court reporter, spell your first and last name?
It's J-O-S-E, Luis, L-U-I-S, Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z.
You mentioned that you are a mechanic by profession.
Yes, sir.
Where are you employed?
At the moment, I'm in the All-Star Auto Clinic.
What city is
in
that?
Plano, Texas. Plano, Texas, yes.
Do you also do some work on the side when you're available, when you have free time for people?
Whenever I have free time, yes. Most of the time I'm busy, full time. But yeah, I do side jobs randomly, not really. Not lately, but I used to do a lot more before. Yes.
Mr. Ortiz, I need to ask you about a woman by the name of Brenda Delgado. Do you know that person?
Correct.
How long have you known Brenda Delgado?
I have known Brenda Delgado since we both were young, since childhood friends, basically.
You all grew up in the same neighborhood?
Yes, she used to live right across from our apartment, same apartment complex back in the 90s.
Did y'all go to school together?
Pretty much. She was more of my, I'm the oldest in my family, so I have a sister, and she was more friends with her than with me. And that's how I know her, because she was friends with my sister. She used to come by the house, play, and hang out. And so I was just around there.
So she wasn't somebody that you ran with. She was someone that you knew through.
Oh yeah, I knew her family, her parents. Occasionally I pray with his dad a lot. His dad was very religious. I mean, these are good people that I have known for a long time. So we had a good relationship going on, and just she was friends with my sister. So I known her for a while.
Was there ever a point in time where you and Brenda Delgado were in a dating relationship?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Was there ever a point in time where you and Brenda dated each other?
Oh, no. We consider ourselves like brother and sister type of thing. Yeah.
I want to turn your attention back to September, late August, early September of 2015. Did there come a time where Brenda Delgado approached you about borrowing a vehicle?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, just a regular day at my shop. Back in that day, I used to have my own shop. I was trying to get my own shop going. So she approached me. She called me. She's like, I have a friend's car that's not working properly. Can I come over? So I said yes, to my shop, of course. So she came. When she showed up at my shop, she said her and Kristopher Cortes came out of a mechanic shop, and they were driving this silver color BMW, and it was not running properly, and she left it for me to kind of check it out and told her what was wrong and give her an estimate of what the repairs could be for that. And in exchange, she asked to borrow my black Jeep Cherokee so she can do some errands during the day.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit on what you just told us. So she arrived at your shop, you said, with Crystal Cortes?
Correct.
Had you met Crystal Cortes before that?
Before that, yes. The day before, which could be September the 1st, I met Crystal at her own, Crystal's Cortes house, because Brenda had dated me to Crystal Cortes house the night prior to come check a car that supposedly, a different car that was not, it was Crystal's that had been sitting there on her front house, and it wasn't running. It was running, but it had a lot of things wrong with it. So I just went. That's the first time I met Crystal Cortes, and I looked at the car, told them what was wrong with it, and I was out of there.
So you believe that was around September
The 1st, yes.
And that's the first time you ever met Crystal Cortes?
Yes, sir.
And you and I have talked about this. Did you develop an interest in Crystal Cortes?
Yeah, at the time I was single, so I was interested in.
And then on September the 2nd, the following morning, do the two of them again show up, meet up with you?
Yes.
In vehicles?
Yeah, in this silver BMW that was not working properly. They both show up in that car, and I gave him Brenda asked me to borrow my black Jeep Cherokee to do some errands during the day.
Did you have any concern or issues with letting her borrow your Cherokee?
No, didn't think nothing of it. Just let her have the keys, and they both left my shop. Then I continued with my work, which is fixing cars.
That was the morning of September the 2nd?
Correct.
Now, later on that day, when you arrived home, were you made aware of something involving your Jeep Cherokee?
No, I have no clue what was going on. I have no clue. But later that day, I received a phone call from Brenda just asking me to meet her at a Chile restaurant in Carrollton for some drinks and appetizers. So I agreed to head over there after work. And when we drove to Chile's and met with her at the restaurant, we had some drinks and appetizers, and I asked her where my black Jeep was because she just showed up there without my Jeep. So I asked her where my Jeep was, and she told me that her friend Kristopher was driving it.
Approach the window, you mentioned that y'all had gone to a Chili's.
Correct.
Dinner and drinks. Let me show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 231. Do you recognize what that is?
Yeah, that's a receipt for our tab receipt.
Can you read the date on that?
09/02/2015.
And the time?
9:05 p.m.
And the amount that was spent?
$26 with 16 cents.
Read off State's Exhibit 231.
Okay.
Permission to publish? Is this receipt consistent with your recollection of what y'all had to drink and eat at the Chili's that night?
That is correct.
As well as the time and the amount that was spent?
Yes, correct.
Now, at some point in time, your black Jeep ends up on TV. Do you recall hearing about that?
I heard about it after a day after.
And do you recall seeing any of the news reports about your Jeep?
Yes, on the following day, which would be September 3rd. That's after I came back home from a long day at work, and that's that same day I drove my Jeep on to work and from work, and just regular day for me. And when I got home, had dinner and everything. At the time, I had my brother-in-law living with us, and he gave me a comment. He's like, "Hey, you heard about the shooting that happened upside Dallas?" So I like, no, and then so happened.
Hearsay, Joe.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Ortiz. Let's back up for a second. September the 3rd, you were back in your Jeep. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, September 3rd, I was back in with my Jeep.
How did you get your Jeep back?
Oh, okay. Well, we were at Chili's. Me and Brenda Delgado, we were having drinks and appetizers, and I asked her where my Jeep was, right? And she used her cell phone. She told me that Kristopher was driving my Jeep. And then I asked her, okay, well, when am I going to get it back? So she used her cell phone to get a hold of her. To get a hold of Kristopher. Kristopher won't pick up. Then she asked to borrow my phone several times to get a hold of her. When she finally got a hold of Kristopher, she walked outside and talked to her. And all I know that when my address was provided to Kristopher over the phone so she can drop off my Jeep at my residence and exchange cars.
Did that take place that evening?
Yes, after Chili's.
Now, going into the next day, which is September the 3rd, I think you said that there were some news reports about your Jeep. Did you see those news reports?
Yes.
And what is it about your I mean, it's an older model vehicle. What is it about that vehicle that stands out and let you know immediately that it was yours?
Well, the sequence and the hood damage, it has some paint damage in it, and the sequence are very unique. I mean, I have seen Jeeps with faded paint, but the patterns are all different from one car to another. And I have owned this Jeep for quite a few years, and I knew how the patterns of the paint damage were. Not only that, but I had an incident where I have lost a cap from the front bumper on the right side, and that was also missing at the time when I saw pictures in the news about it. And the distinct rims in it, they were like, you don't really see those many rims in Jeeps.
Look at that screen next to you, States Exhibit 92. Do we see the hood damage that you just described?
That's correct.
You can touch the screen and circle it. Can you show the jury?
Sure.
So you have circles on the hood, and is that the paint damage?
That's correct.
And what is the circle on the front bumper? What does that represent?
That's an incident that I have on a snowy day, and I slid and hit something, and I lost the cap.
But these are the things that you saw on TV that let you know that was your Jeep.
Correct.
Mayor, approach your witness, sir. You talked about the images that you've seen on TV of your Jeep. Let me show you States Exhibits 27, 28, and 29. Are these the exhibit, what you saw on TV?
That's what I saw on TV, yes.
And what is the date on these exhibits?
The dates are September 2nd, 2015.
And what is the time stamp?
7:16 with 52 seconds.
All right, we'd offer States 27, 28, and 29. Okay. Mr. Ortiz, looking at States Exhibit 27, the image that you saw on TV, does that vehicle appear to be driving through a parking garage?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And then as we look at States Exhibit 28, are you able to see someone occupying the driver's?
Yes, I can see a driver, but I can't tell who it is or don't have a clear vision.
Looking at States Exhibit 29, I think it's a little closer shot of that driver. Were you able to identify who the person was that was driving your Jeep?
Negative.
So having seen all this on TV and knowing that this vehicle at that point was suspected to be involved in the shooting, what did you do?
I was researching on my phone and about the incident, and I learned that there was a murder committed in Uptown Dallas with a black Jeep with the descriptions similar to the one I own.
Did you contact law enforcement?
At the time, right then, I contacted the next day though.
So the following day, which would be what,
The
September?
September 4th, I contact police.
And did you call the Dallas Police Department?
Correct, yes.
Did they come to you, or did you go to them?
I went to them. I gave them the address where where the Jeep was at, and they went. When they arrived, I went with them to their station voluntarily and for questioning, and gave consent for them to search my Jeep and my cell phone.
So you gave consent for your Jeep to be searched?
Yes.
And who did you tell, or did you tell the police that you had loaned that Jeep out to someone? That you gave
Yes.
someone permission to take the Jeep and drive it?
Yes, I told them that.
And who did you tell them that you gave the Jeep to?
Further, I was questioned by Detective Eric Barnes, and
Did Detective Barnes ask you who you gave the Jeep to?
yes,
And what did you tell him?
I lent it to Brenda Delgado.
Did he mention any other names to you? Did he mention the name Kristopher Cortes to you?
If I knew Kristopher Cortes, and I told her that yes, I have just barely met her.
The pictures that we just shown you, did he show you any of those photographs?
Yes.
Wait a 1 second, Charlie. Mr. Ortiz, back in August, September of 2015, did you have a cell phone?
Sure, yeah.
Do you remember that number being 214-586-7663?
Correct.
Pass the witness.
Okay, just want to do it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Your approach, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we're going to ask you to stand outside in the hall for just a minute, please.
All rise.
Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All rise.
State your name for the jury, please.
My name is Kristopher Cortes.
If you can scoot that mic back a little bit. Thank you.
And for the benefit of the court reporter, Crystal, would you spell your first name and your last name?
CrystalCortes.
Her approach, Your Honor.
You may.
Crystal, how old are you?
I am 26 years old.
And jury can see how you're dressed.
Yes.
You are in custody.
Yes.
You do have chains on.
Yes.
And you have been in the Dallas County Jail since September 2015.
Correct.
You are also charged as a co-defendant in capital murder of Kendra Hatcher.
Yes.
Last week, I believe it was last Thursday,
Correct.
you entered a plea of guilty
Yes.
to the offense of murder.
Correct.
And the agreement is based upon you testifying in this trial and the trial of Brenda Delgado.
Yes. Yes.
Is that your understanding?
Correct.
And if your testimony is deemed truthful, your sentence will be 35 years.
Correct.
Now, how did you first meet Brenda Delgado?
I met her through a mutual acquaintance. Her name is Jennifer Escobar.
Is she also known as Jennifer Calderon sometimes?
Yes.
And where did y'all meet?
At Brenda's apartment.
Was this during the time when Jennifer was living with Brenda?
Correct.
And had you gone over there just to hang out and swim?
Yes.
How long have you known Jennifer Calderon / Escobar?
I went to high school with her, so I knew her for about 4 or 5 years.
And just so we're clear, you knew Jennifer many, many years before you knew Brenda.
Yes, sir.
And did there come a time where you and Jennifer took a trip that summer?
Yes. We went to Corpus Christi on the weekend of the 12th in August.
August the 12th?
Yes, sir.
And when you came back from that trip, did something happen between Brenda Delgado and Jennifer?
Yes, they had a fallout.
And when they had that falling out, what did Jennifer do?
She moved out of Brenda's apartment.
Now, when she moved out, I mean, Jennifer was initially your friend.
Correct.
She moved out. How is it that you, or is it that you and Brenda kept in contact with each other?
We did keep in contact with each other via cell phone, and I would continually go to her house, to her apartment.
So is this a friendship that was starting to develop?
Correct.
Now, at some point, Brenda starts talking to you about someone named Kendra Hatcher.
Yes.
What kinds of things is she talking to you about?
She says that Kendra Hatcher,
Excuse me, Judge, again, I'm going to object to hearsay this time.
Excuse me, Judge, statement against interest, co-conspirator testimony. You can answer.
okay, she said that Kendra Hatcher, she hated her, she didn't want anything to do with her, she already knew where Kendra lived. She pretty much said that she wanted to do away with Kendra.
And she's making these statements freely and voluntarily.
Correct, yes.
Now, you and I have sat down and we've talked on 3 separate occasions.
Correct.
I think the first time we sat down and talked was in 2016.
Correct. In November.
And then again,
September.
September of this year.
Yes.
Do you recall what I told you in September of this year?
Yes.
You recall I told you that what you told us back in October of 2016?
Correct.
Probably 40% of it was true?
Yes.
And when we sat down in September, and your attorney was present,
Correct.
and he's present in the courtroom today.
Okay.
Do you see Mr. Ashford?
Yes.
So your attorney is present here today, and he was present each time the two of us have sat down and talked.
Correct.
And did I make it very clear to you that we knew all the lies you had told
Yes.
previously?
Yes.
Did I make it clear to you that we could prove this case without you?
Correct.
And our meeting in September, is that the first time that you sat down with any member of law enforcement and completely and fully told them about your involvement in this case?
Correct.
Were you an integral part of the planning of this offense?
Yes, I was.
Were there ideas or things about how this should happen that were your ideas?
Yes.
Such as?
Putting the gloves on, finding the weapon, pretty much following Kendra Hatcher.
When you, let's go back a little bit. When you say pulling the gloves on,
Correct.
what are you talking about?
We got the gloves for Mr. Love.
You got gloves for Mr. Love?
Yes.
Christopher Love?
Yes.
What was the purpose of those gloves?
So that he wouldn't leave fingerprints on the weapon.
And when was he supposed to put those gloves on?
Before he got off the vehicle.
How about when he had the weapon?
Yes.
Was he supposed to put the gloves on before he handled the weapon?
Yes, and he was cleaning the bullets before he put them in the clip.
So, let's go back to the planning.
Correct.
When did the planning for this start?
Probably 2 weeks after I met Brenda, we started planning this murder. We would follow Miss Kendra. We would stake out her apartment. We would sit in the parking garage. We would follow her from her job to her house. We pretty much just found out her daily routine.
What vehicles were y'all using?
We used a Mustang, a BMW, a Lexus, and a Jeep.
Now, were these your cars or these were?
None of the cars were mine. One was Brenda's, which was a white Lexus. The Jeep belonged to an acquaintance of Brenda.
Okay, and who did the Mustang belong to?
Brenda's cousin.
So there were times that y'all were driving Mustang.
Correct.
Now, were there times, we'll get to that. So y'all following her, trying to establish her daily routine.
Correct.
And at some point in time, well, let me ask you this. Did you know Kristopher Love before any of this?
No.
Was there a friend of his that you did know?
Yes, Mr. Kelly Ellis.
Now, all of this starts basically around the middle of August. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And we know that it ends on September 2nd when Kendra is killed.
Yes.
So that's a fairly short period of time. Do you
Yes.
agree?
Yes, it is.
So between that period of August the 12th and September the 2nd, did there come a time where you and Brenda met Kristopher Love?
Yes.
How did that happen?
He was at my mother's house with Kelly Ellis with his children, and the kids were jumping on the trampoline, and Brenda pulled me aside, and she said that she thinks that they would be helpful in the planning of the murder of Kendra Hatcher.
She thinks he would be helpful?
Yes.
Now, let's talk about Kelly Ellis before we go any further.
Yes, sir.
I think you said that you went to your mom's house and Kelly Ellis was there?
Yes, with Mr. Love.
Why would Kelly Ellis be at your mom's house?
He used to live next door to my mom's house, so he would go to my mom's house often. He also knew my brother. He was a good friend of my brother.
Is this someone that you grew up around?
I met him about 6 years ago.
Would it be unusual for him to be at your mom's house even though you're not there?
No, not at all.
So you weren't surprised when you showed up and he was there?
No, I wasn't surprised.
And tell me again who was with him when you showed up?
Kristopher Love was with him and his children.
Approach witness room. First, I want to show you it's marked as State's Exhibit 218. Do you recognize the person in that picture?
That's Kelly Ellis.
And I want to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 224. Do you recognize that individual?
That's Kristopher Love.
All right, read off State's Exhibits 218 and 224. Go, Jay. Commissioner Publish. Tell the jury, who's that person?
That is Mr. Kelly Ellis.
And the other individual that you identified as Kristopher Love, you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point to him and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He's wearing a black suit, glasses, and his hair is tied back.
And what color are the glasses?
He has gold frames and brown on the side.
All right, that's correct. Reflect the defendant has identified the co-defendant. And again, just reiterate what you already told us, 224, take 224.
That's Mr. Love, Kristopher Love.
Is that how the chair looked at the time?
Yes.
So Brenda meets him at the same time you meet him. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And is he approached at that initial meeting about committing this offense?
No, we go to the apartments at the Mandalay Apartments, and we approach him about committing a murder and robbery.
This is the same day?
Yes.
And you left your mom's house, you're telling us, and went to an apartment to have this discussion?
Yes, on a balcony at the Mandalay Apartments.
And did you leave because you didn't want to have that kind of discussion in your mom's house?
Yes.
So when you get to the Mandalay Apartments, is it a very long discussion about whether or not I will or will not do this?
It's very long.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
It's pretty long.
But it was the same day?
Yes.
And was Mr. Love, Kristopher Love, made aware that y'all, at that time, did y'all let him know that y'all had been surveilling?
Yes, we did let him know.
Did there come occasions where he would accompany y'all on the surveillance?
Correct, he will. He would.
Did he use his own vehicle sometimes in doing this?
Yes, we went one time in his Sebring, and we went to the dental office, and we scoped out the area.
How many meetings do you think y'all had to discuss doing this?
10, 15, maybe.
And what were you supposed to get for taking part in this?
$500 for driving.
And what was Mr. Love supposed to get?
Drugs and money.
Do you know what amount?
No.
Now, you hadn't known Brenda very long when all this starts to develop. Did she try and make it seem to people like she had a lot of money?
Yes.
Did she try and make it seem to people that she's connected to the cartel?
Correct.
How would she do that?
She said she had connections to certain people. She would flaunt her money. She basically was saying that she can pretty much take care of anything that needed to be taken care of.
So when we get to September the 2nd of 2015, let's start with the morning and tell this jury how that day starts off that morning.
We go in the BMW, we drop off my son at school, then we go to the Mandalay Apartments and we pick up Mr. Love, and we go to a convenience store. He buys a black shirt. Then we go to the Jack in the Box because the BMW, the accelerator, when you press on the gas, it like stops, the transmission stops. So we go to the Jack in the Box right there on 35 and Royal Lane, and Mr. Love gets off. He stays in the Jack in the Box. Me and Brenda go to Joe's work shop. It's a mechanic shop. And we pick up the Jeep, and he stays with the BMW.
Okay, hold your thought right there. May I approach you? First, I'm sure it's marked as State's Exhibit 88, and can you tell that that is a map?
Yes.
And does it have a location of the Jack in the Box?
Correct.
Is that consistent with the Jack in the Box that y'all dropped Mr. Love off there?
Yes.
Offer State's Exhibit 88, Your Honor.
Okay.
Commissioner Publish. And again, Crystal, that where that orange mark is, that's the Jack in the Box that you left the defendant in.
Yes.
And is that at Royal Lane 35?
Yes.
I-35.
Yes.
Now, after dropping him off at the Jack in the Box, what do you and Brenda then do?
We go to Joe's work shop. It's a mechanic shop. And we trade the BMW for the Jeep that we used during the crime.
Now, Earlier in the planning of this, was there another vehicle that y'all had thought about using?
Yes, we thought about using a red car. It is Mitsubishi Galant.
Or Coach Ron? Let me show you State's Exhibit 113.
That's it.
That appear to be a screenshot.
Yep.
Is that the red Mitsubishi that y'all were going to buy to use in the offense?
Yes.
Our we offer State's 113.
Okay.
Commissioner Publish? And what was going to be the purpose of buying this vehicle to use in the offense?
We were going to buy the vehicle so that we can destroy it afterwards. She had deposited a check of $1,000, and she told the owner of the vehicle, or the place where we went, that she was holding the check for her brother, and she was going to use it for her brother.
Why would she say it was for her brother?
She didn't want anything connected to her.
So, Approach her. Let me show you this map, Crystal, and are you able to recognize certain locations?
Yes.
You had mentioned an apartment complex,
Yes, the Mandalay Apartments right here.
and this is on State's Exhibit 89. You were talking about someone named Joe. Would that be Joe Ortiz?
Yes, sir.
And do you see his shop on this map? And that's fine if you don't.
No, I don't.
But you do see the Mandalay Apartments that you mentioned.
Yes.
And that's where the planning of this offense took place?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'd offer State's Exhibit 89.
No objection.
Commissioner Publish?
Sorry?
Commissioner Publish? Crystal, can you look next to you? You'll see a screen. Can you point out on the map or circle where the Mandalay Apartments are?
Right here.
Now, after picking up the black Jeep at
It was green.
Green?
Yeah, the Jeep was green. It just looks black in the camera.
Okay. After picking up the Jeep, what do y'all do?
We go back to the Mandalay Apartments. We put paper tags on the Jeep, and then we go to Miss Kendra's apartment. I park across the street from her in the parking lot, and I look directly into the Gables parking lot.
May I approach you now? I'll show you what's in evidence at States 92. Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes.
Is that the vehicle that was used?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see how that vehicle was actually black?
Yes.
Do you recognize it as a vehicle you were driving?
Yes, sir.
May I approach you now? I think you just told us that y'all had gone back to the apartments that Mr. Kinder lived in,
Yes.
and you parked.
Across the street from the Gables parking lot.
Let me show you States Exhibits 24,
That's where I parked.
25.
Correct. I parked right here and right there.
Okay, and this accurately reflects where you parked and how you were positioned that day?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we'd offer States Exhibits 24 and 25.
No objection.
Commissioner Publish? So, Crystal, and you can circle on that screen as well. Circle where the Jeep is. Now, This is at 11:45. This is early afternoon.
Yes,
Who's in the vehicle with you?
Mr. Love.
And again, states 25.
Circle the Jeep.
Can you circle where the Jeep is? What was the reason that y'all were parked out there at that time?
Just so we can follow her that day and see where she was going to be at the time.
Did you have any information or any reason to believe that she was at home at that time of day?
Yes, we were informed earlier that she would be there with Ricky because Brenda was using the iPhone to find where he was at.
So is Brenda relaying information to you about where Ricky is?
Yes.
And, I'm sorry, Judge, may I approach you?
Yes, sir.
Show you States Exhibit 135. Do you recognize this?
Yes, those are the Nikon binoculars that we used.
Okay, and who purchased these binoculars?
Brenda did.
All right, we'd offer States 135.
No, good.
What is it, this number?
135.
135.
Commissioner Publish. Commissioner Publish.
You may.
Pretty expensive binoculars.
Yes, sir.
So how long do y'all stay parked outside the entrance for the parking garage?
Probably about 30 minutes.
And what happens after 30 minutes?
She leaves the parking lot and we go back to the dental office. And she's not at the dental office because the dental office didn't open until a little bit later.
And is Mr. Love still with you at this point?
Yes, sir.
And what do y'all do then?
We go back to the Mandalay Apartments after we leave the dental office and we wait it out. And I tell Mr. Love that I have to pick up my son from school, and afterwards I leave Mr. Love at the Mandalay Apartments. I pick up my son from school. I take him to Sonic and I purchase some food for him.
I approach the witness, Your Honor.
It's over here. If it's over here. I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks, where it is.
.106. Hey, Christian, let me show you a picture of State's Exhibit 106.
Yes, that's the Sonic receipt that I purchased the same day of the murder.
And do you see a time?
Yes,
And what time is that?
3:54 p.m.
And you also see a date.
Yes,
What date?
it is September 2nd, 2015. The order was made at 3:53 p.m.
May I publish, Your Honor? May I publish? All right, Crystal, based on that receipt, and you, I think you said this is dinner for your son. What did y'all buy?
Corn dogs, tater tots, and a drink. A couple drinks.
Did you eat there or did you take him home to eat?
I took him back to my grandmother's house and we ate at my grandmother's house.
Tell us what you did after that.
I left my son in the care of my grandmother, and then I went back to the Mandalay Apartments. I picked up Mr. Love, and we went to Miss Hatcher's workplace, and we parked across the street at the Salvation Army.
Now, how are you, Kristopher Love, and Brenda Delgado, how are y'all communicating with each other?
Via cell phone.
And approximately what time did y'all go back and wait across the street?
Probably about 4:30.
And after waiting across the street, what do you do?
We go back to Miss Kendra's apartment in the Gables parking lot, and we park in the visitors area, and we wait for a vehicle to come in so that I can go into the main entrance.
What was stopping you from going into the main entrance?
I did not have a key to go in.
So would the plan be to wait for a car to go in and follow that car in?
Yes, sir, that was the plan.
Have y'all done that before?
Yes, we have.
Approximately how many times have you done it before?
Probably about 12, 15 times, because we would go almost every night.
And you have followed a vehicle into the parking garage. Tell this jury what you did next.
I parked, I was trying to get into the main area where Miss Kendra normally parks, but it was full. So then I parked on the other side of the gate next to a red car.
Your first witness, Your Honor. Show you State's Exhibit 40. Does that look like the main area where Ms. Hatcher normally parked?
Yes, sir.
Trying to access?
Yes, sir.
And you had been there approximately how many times?
12 or 15.
So you recognize what's depicted in State's Exhibit 40?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'd offer State's Exhibit 40. It's on you. Looking at that picture, Crystal, are you able to tell us if there's a certain preferred spot inside that area that you like to park?
Yes.
What else? Show us.
Should park like in this area right here.
So after y'all are in, at least inside that area, how do you, tell us again how you get into the security area?
I follow another vehicle into the gate, and I park across on the other side of the gate because the main area where Miss Kendra normally parks was full.
Now, are you driving?
Yes, sir.
Were you always driving the Jeep that day?
Yes, I drove the Jeep all day long.
So you drove the Jeep there.
Yes, sir.
Did you drive the Jeep away from there?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you are going in and out of this garage, looking at State's Exhibit 27, if you could look at the screen. Do you see yourself there?
Yes, sir.
And is that you behind the,
Will? Yes.
where's Mr. Love?
In the back seat laying down.
Why is he laying down?
He didn't want nobody to know that he was in there.
During the times that y'all had been in and out of this garage, had you noticed cameras?
No, I did not notice cameras.
Did you suspect there were cameras?
No.
But nonetheless, he just chose to lay down in the back seat so he couldn't be seen.
Yes.
The area where you parked, do you recall that being slightly a down ramp type area?
Yes, sir.
And during the times that y'all had been in and out of that garage, had you ever gone through that part of the garage?
No, sir.
This was the first time you'd ever parked on that ramp area.
Yes, sir.
And y'all sit there for a good piece of time.
Yeah, about 30 minutes to an hour.
And how do you know what you're looking for?
Brenda and me had already previously went to the parking garage, and we knew what kind of car Miss Hatcher drove. She drove a Toyota Camry, and it was white.
And at some point in time,
I see the vehicle coming in through the parking garage.
Approach around.
Yes, sir.
Crystal, State's Exhibit 30.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, that's the Maserati that was there, and the Jeep is right here where the taillights are on.
Okay, so you can see where you parked.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'd offer State's Exhibit 30.
No objection.
Commissioner Coleman? Can we approach?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury will take a morning break now. It's 10 after, so we'll be back in the jury room in 15 minutes and 25 after.
All rise.